How's it going, everyone? It is Prashan here with another Marvel Snap video, and we are going over today's OTA. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so let me know if you guys want me to do more of these, less of these. we'll see how this goes, trial and error. So we'll go over the first card that's next to me, and that's Adam Warlock. It's pretty interesting because I tried to make Adam Warlock work in one of my older decks, the new Kazoo, where you play Adam Warlock and then like you try to bast him or something. That way he becomes a 3/2 and then you get cards that way. But sometimes it didn't work, or it felt weird and didn't work at all, and I have a 2/0 on the board that's just hanging out there for no reason and just a waste of board space. So now Adam Warlock is a 5/4. The text still doesn't change. After each turn, you draw a card if you're winning here. But the fact that he's a 5/4, I think it's still awkward. Him being a 5, I think if he was a 4, maybe it'll work. Then you would play Zabu, and then you could cheat out cards that way. But him being a 5/4, that's too late in the game. I think, in general, I think 5s are weak in the game as it is, especially with Zabu cutting your 4s. And then like the curve is so much better with Zabu in certain decks. But him being a 5/4, I think it's a waste, unless you're playing like Lockjaw, or if you're playing like Ramp or something. Maybe he works better that way. That way you get the cards that you need, or maybe even negative. Maybe negative will work with Tribunal if you put down like a Iron Man and an Adam Warlock in the same lane, and you get the cards that you need and you just win with Tribunal. I don't think it's better. I don't think people would waste space for him. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. I think I might try him out in some decks and see if it works. But my honest opinion, the first look, I don't think he will. I don't think it will change that much. Maybe they need to make him a 3, like a 3/4 or a 4/4 or something. But a 5/4, that's not cool to me. So let's go on to the next card we have. The next card we have here is Darkhawk. Previously, Darkhawk was a 4/0. Now it is a 5/4. Same as Adam Warlock. Isn't that interesting? They're both 5/4s. Honestly, I think it's weird. It messes up the curve of those Miss Marvel decks, or those like good stats decks, right? But I think it's a buff because he gets +4. You play him on 5. You play Mystique on 6 with Rock Slide, and maybe that gives you games. Especially if you played Miss Marvel on 4, or if you played her on 3 if you have Zabu. I still think Darkhawk is still pretty good. You can't play it in negative. I don't think that many people are playing Darkhawk in negative anyways. I really didn't see it. And like immediately when I see like 4/0, I think negative. That just the way my mind works, right? I think it's a good change. I think it's pretty decent. It makes it stronger. I think it makes it on the same level as Ronin, because I always thought like Ronin and Darkhawk did the same stuff. So why weren't they costs the same or power the same? It's just the same card. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it brings Miss Marvel back for a second. Those good stats decks, those Rocks and Hawks decks. We'll see if it brings them back. So let's go into the next card. The next card we have here is Forge. He used to be a 1/1. Now he's a 2/2. His text is still the same. On reveal, give the next card you play +2 power. I think it affects bounce decks a little bit because you can't use Falcon to bring him back to your hand. And I think this affects Destroy too. So you can't play Forge on 1 and then you're playing Deadpool on 2. So this is the second card that they've targeted a little bit in Destroy. They hit Hulkbuster the last change, and now they're hitting Forge. So I think they're trying to go after Destroy and that curve a little bit. That way your Deadpool isn't as huge as you want him to be. But besides that, I think Forge is still decent. I think he's still good in bounce decks. It's just that you just have to change your way of thinking. And plus there's a card coming up soon that sort of replaces Forge and what he does. So let's go into the next card. All right, the next card we have here is Ant-Man. No, this isn't the one that's replacing Forge. That card is coming later, but Ant-Man did get a buff. Instead of having 3 power when your side of the location is full, now it is 4. which is pretty cool. I think it gives Zoo like a really good buff. Ant-Man is always one card I try to play when I go to Zoo decks, because I play it and then like I try to Valkyrie it. I try to play like Ant-Man in the early game, and then I play like Valkyrie and Demon in the same lane on turn 6. So this is pretty good. I honestly don't know why they're touching Ant-Man. I guess maybe people don't play him as much as they think he should. Especially early, like beginner players. I always play Ant-Man in my beginner decks for the most part. I still go to him a little bit when I'm playing Zoo, especially when I fill the board. Ant-Man, Dazzler, they're good cards. I just think sometimes you don't want to fill the board too prematurely, because the opponent there's so many decks that have that big explosive turn 6. I just think like this is one of the cards you don't want to play early. You want to play later, just so you can see how the board fills up and plays out. But good change overall. I think it's a good. Let's go into the next card. And here she is, America Chavez, changed again. She is no longer a 2/3. She is a 1/2. I don't know, man. They keep on doing my girl dirty. This is the card I think will replace Forge. It could replace Forge, especially in the bounce archetype. Especially since she's a 1, you could beast her. You could use Falcon. I think that's pretty good for the most part. And then still on reveal, the top card of your deck gets +2 power, so you're still gambling on which card gets +2 power. But overall, I think it's a decent change. I still want the old Miss America Chavez back. I think that card was top tier. I think America Chavez is still the card I had the most boosters for, because I just put her in every deck. I just made like 11 cards, and then I would just put Chavez in. That way I had a better curve. But those are the olden days. Times are new, so I don't know. I'm indifferent. It's probably still not a card I will play, but most people you might see it in bounce. So let's go into the next card. And we have Lockjaw. Lockjaw got hit. This is pretty crazy. Lockjaw used to be a 3/2. Now it is a 4/5, which I think it's a buff too, because you could just play Zabu and still play him on 3, right? The text of the card didn't change. After you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck once per turn, because it got nerfed from a long time ago. The Thanos days, where you could just put all types of cards in there, like a casino slot machine, lockjaw machine. But I think they're trying to target Hela decks a little bit here. Maybe the Hela and the Thanos decks, but I still think Lockjaw will be good. You could always use your Time Stone to get him out. You could always use Psylocke if you're playing Psylocke into those Thanos decks, and then especially since Corvus is out too, like people could play Corvus and then they just have the ramp, and you could just ramp it up with Lockjaw. So I don't think this does too much to him. I think it just disrupts your curve, especially if you don't have the cards in your hand, but that's pretty much it. It's still a good card, and it might even be a buff. If it gets +3 power compared to what it was before, that's still crazy. Like, you could play Jubilee and then fill up that lane pretty quickly. So next card, we have Swordmaster here. He used to be a 3/6, and now he is a 3/7. And I still feel the same. People aren't going to play him because they don't know what they're discarding, and you don't get anything in return. Same thing with Hellcow. You're discarding stuff, you don't know what you're discarding, and you're not getting anything in return. At least with Corvus, you're getting 1 energy back, so you're getting some ramp so you can play things early. But I feel like this is still a card that's not going to get played and discard that often, because the stats are good, but why risk it when you don't know what you're going to get back in return? Especially Black Cat too. I think Black Cat was a card that people avoided too, but they buffed her enough where she became viable and decent in decks. But I still don't think Swordmaster will get any play. Not even in this Hela meta. I don't think Swordmaster is going to get any play. So let's go into the next card. And finally, we have Vulture, which is weird. So Vulture was a 3/3 when this card moves, +5 power, and now when it moves, +6 power. I still don't think move isn't the archetype for me because it's too unpredictable. At least like Hella is predictable enough where you know what you're discarding and you know what's going to be on the board. But when you're moving things around, like it, for me, I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people don't feel comfortable doing it, especially if you're not skilled in that area. It's cool to play when the combos happen, but other than that, it's just you just Heimdall and everything just moves one direction, which is pretty predictable too on the final turn. And I don't like decks that are predictable on the final turn. You want to try to surprise the opponent or juke them out. That way you could gain cubes. And I think this is a decent buff for them, of course, because you have like Hercules, you have Ghost Spider, you have Doctor Strange, you have all these cards that can move him around, and he could get pretty big. And maybe even Phoenix Force. People try to play Phoenix Force to get him like monstrous levels now because you're getting that +1 power, right? I still don't think this is enough for people to play move. Like you still don't see move that often. You see move in like, I don't know, tiny movers where you have like Ghost Spider moving around, like Dagger, and then you have like Iron Fist and all that good stuff, and you have Human Torch, like things like that. That works, but when you get bigger and you're sacrificing more like mana, more energy each turn, then it gets a little dicey. Especially when I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it gets a little weird when you're wasting turns moving things and you don't move it in the right position, and then you just feel like you're lost. You're lost in the location. So that's pretty much it for this OTA. Let me know in the comments what you liked in this OTA, what you didn't like of this OTA, what cards you thought should have been hit, buffed or nerfed wise. And till next time, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Till next time, peace. There it is. Peace.